In the darkness of history, ideas ignite like stars. They form constellations of hope, progress, and change. But for every light, a shadow is cast. Our story begins not in the White House, but in a humble log cabin, with a young man whose greatest weapon was a book. His name was Abraham Lincoln. That young man would become the president tasked with holding a fractured nation together. A house divided against itself could not stand. His leadership would end slavery, but it would cost him his life. His victory for the Union would be his final act. On April 14, 1865, in a Washington theater, a shadow fell. An actor and Confederate sympathizer named John Wilkes Booth ended the life of the great emancipator, the first president assassinated, but it would not be the last. The pendulum of American history had begun a dangerous, deadly swing. The pages of history turned to a man who embodied the American dream itself. James Garfield. Born into poverty, he clawed his way to knowledge, and eventually to the highest office in the land. As president, he faced a Washington, D.C. riddled with a corrupt cancer, the spoils system, where government jobs were rewards for political loyalty, not merit. He was determined to reform it. For one man, denied the job he felt he deserved, this rejection was not a political disappointment. It was a personal betrayal that demanded a violent response. At a train station in Washington, Charles Guiteau fired 2 shots into the president's back. The bullet did not kill him instantly. For 80 agonizing days, a nation watched as doctors, with unsterilized instruments, probed for the bullet, slowly poisoning him. His death was slow, and it was entirely preventable. As the 20th century dawned, America stood on the world stage as a titan of industry. Its leader, William McKinley, was a steady hand guiding this new, electric age. He was a president of confidence and growth. But in the shadows of this brilliant light, a new kind of threat festered. Not a Confederate sympathizer or a spurned office seeker, but an anarchist who saw the government itself as the enemy. His name was Leon Czolgosz. The act of violence was not in a train station or a theater, but in a building called the Temple of Music. A place named for harmony, now forever a place of discord. 2 point-blank shots from a concealed pistol would bring down the president. McKinley's death, like those before him, irrevocably altered the nation's path. It brought a whirlwind named Theodore Roosevelt to power, and it finally, formally, created the shield that would protect all future presidents: the United States Secret Service. The post-war world yearned for youth and optimism. It found it in John F. Kennedy. His presidency was Camelot, a short, brilliant moment where America aimed for the moon and believed it could solve any problem. But in November of 1963, that hope rode in an open-top car through the sun-drenched streets of Dallas, Texas. And in the shadows, a different kind of American dream festered. It waited in a 6th-floor window. In a single, violent instant, the future was stolen. The image of the president's head snapping back is seared into the memory of a nation, and a generation's innocence was lost. The questions of what if and who really did it would haunt America forever. The questions began before the body was cold. A lone gunman? A conspiracy? The truth was buried under an avalanche of grief and confusion, giving birth to a deep, lasting distrust of authority that persists to this day. The age of assassinating presidents was over, but the violence was not. The target was now shifting from the leaders of the state to the leaders of the people's conscience, the prophets of change who spoke from the pulpit and the street corner. While presidents governed in Washington, the real battle for America's soul was fought in the dusty backroads and segregated streets of the South. And few soldiers were as steadfast as Medgar Evers, a World War II veteran who simply wanted Black Americans to have the right to vote. For this simple, courageous act of organizing, a price was placed on his head. The old hatred of the South, dressed in white robes, waited for him in the dark. It waited in his own driveway, a place that should have been his sanctuary. Violence, then profound grief. On June 12, 1963, the war came to his doorstep. A single rifle shot from the shadows tore through the night. His wife and children waiting inside heard the shot that killed their husband and father. While men like Evers worked within the system, others demanded change from outside it. No voice was louder, more provocative, or more evolving than that of Malcolm X. He spoke with fiery passion for Black empowerment, dignity, and self-defense. But after a pilgrimage to Mecca, his ideas evolved, seeking a broader unity. This evolution made him dangerous to his former allies. On February 21, 1965, as he prepared to speak in Manhattan, the violence he had long spoken of found him. Not from the white supremacists he decried, but from the brothers he had left behind. His message, however, could not be killed. By 1968, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a prophet carrying the crushing weight of a movement. The dream he so famously articulated was being tested by fire, riots, and a growing sense of despair. He was a tired man who knew the path was dangerous. He spoke openly of his own mortality, as if he could see the shadow drawing near. But on a motel balcony in Memphis, after a moment of laughter with friends, that shadow finally arrived. It came in the form of a single red laser sight. The shot, when it came, did not sound like a crack of thunder. It was a small, sharp sound that erased the future. The apostle of nonviolence was felled by ultimate violence. But the dream he planted refused to die. It was a seed that would continue to grow. Just this 2 months later, another Kennedy sought to pick up the pieces. Robert F. Kennedy now carried his brother's torch and tried to weave a new coalition of the wounded and the forgotten. After winning the California primary, he was met not with celebration, but with bullets in a crowded hotel kitchen. Hope, literally, bled out on a dirty floor. With King and Kennedy gone, the nation's heart seemed to harden. The battle for equality would continue, but the battlefield was shifting, expanding to include new fronts and new identities. In the wake of the 60s, new voices emerged from the margins. In San Francisco, a camera shop owner named Harvey Milk offered a simple, radical idea: hope. He gave a marginalized community the courage to be themselves, to be visible, and to demand a seat at the table. But for a man named Dan White, a former supervisor who felt the world owed him what Milk had earned, this change was an unforgivable sin. His jealousy festered into a rage that demanded violence. His job on November 27, 1978, he executed the man who represented hope. But the act intended to erase hope, instead immortalized it. A city's grief transformed into a massive, shining rainbow, a permanent symbol of the visibility Harvey Milk died for. The struggle for identity and power wasn't just in politics. It was in culture, and no one embodied its passion, its pain, and its contradictions like Tupac Shakur. He was a poet of the streets, his music a raw wound of the American experience. In a flash of violence as swift and random as it seemed, the poet was silenced. His murder on the Las Vegas Strip remains an open wound, a riddle wrapped in a culture of fame and street politics. His voice became a ripple in time, forever influencing the culture. This is our heavy history, a story of light and the shadows that try to blow it out. But a bullet is a simple thing. It can only erase a life. An idea of freedom, of equality, of hope is complex, resilient, and infinitely more powerful. It can be bent, but it cannot be killed. The next chapter of the American story is not yet written. It is ours to write. It is a choice we make every day. To be divided by fear or to be united by the legacy of those who gave everything for their ideas. Let us choose to make it one of peace. If this journey through history moved you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to not miss our future explorations. What period of history should we delve into next? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching.